Behind the golden gates of Riyadh lies a fortune so vast it could buy entire nations. This isn't just about oil or palaces, it's about the unseen architect of Saudi Arabia's trillion-dollar empire. From secret marble estates in France to private Boeing jets that act as flying embassies, the scale of wealth is beyond imagination. Stay until the end, because what powers this empire isn't money, it's something far rarer. The hidden queen behind a trillion-dollar empire. She was born into the powerful al-Hithlane tribe, one of the most influential bloodlines in the Arabian Peninsula. Long before the crown, Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane was already considered royalty by Lineage. Her family's reach extended across business, tribal leadership and political mediation. But her 1984 marriage to King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud transformed that influence into something unprecedented: the consolidation of two dynasties that would quietly dominate both the throne and the trillion-dollar fortune that came with it. It was not a love story told through tabloids or royal photographs. It was a strategic alliance crafted with precision. Her marriage fortified the relationship between the House of Saud and one of Arabia's oldest tribes, anchoring Salman's political rise while strengthening the legitimacy of his future successors. In a kingdom where lineage defines loyalty, this union became the ultimate equation of power. Love was the ceremony, but legacy was the purpose. From the beginning, Princess Fada understood the structure of influence in Saudi Arabia. Power doesn't always wear a crown, it often whispers behind it. Her role wasn't ceremonial, she became the silent strategist behind the scenes, managing alliances, preserving family reputation, and ensuring that each of her 6 sons inherited not only wealth, but also responsibility. Among them, one name would reshape the modern Middle East: Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, the driving force behind Vision 2030. While her husband ruled publicly, Princess Fada built the architecture of loyalty privately. She maintained relationships across royal factions, influential business houses, and key tribal leaders. Her diplomatic reach extended beyond Riyadh, connecting networks in Morocco, Paris, and London, places where deals worth billions of dollars were often discussed not in boardrooms but in private salons, guarded by silence and trust. And despite her influence, she has rarely been photographed, never interviewed, and never quoted, an intentional mystery that fuels both reverence and fear. Those close to the royal court describe her as the shadow matriarch, the woman who ensures continuity through discretion. Every appointment, every alliance, every whisper of succession reportedly passes through her unseen hand. If you think power is measured by visibility, think again. In the world of trillion-dollar monarchies, the most powerful person is often the one you never see. So tell me, do you believe influence is louder when it's invisible? The power of bloodlines and maternal strategy. In the vast hierarchy of the Saudi royal court, Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane holds a power that cannot be traced on any organizational chart, a power built through lineage, loyalty, and legacy. Her strength lies not in public decrees or official titles, but in the influence she exerts through the people who carry her name. As the mother of 6 sons, each positioned in strategic roles across the kingdom's defense, energy, economy, and technology sectors, her family is not merely royal, it is structural. Her eldest son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, commands global attention as the architect of Vision 2030, a transformation plan redefining Saudi Arabia's economy and identity. But what many overlook is the invisible scaffolding behind him, a network of maternal loyalty that ensures unity within one of the world's most complex royal ecosystems. While factions within the House of Saud have historically vied for power, Princess Fada's diplomacy has turned potential rivals into collaborators, anchoring stability in a family whose wealth exceeds $1.4 trillion. Unlike the visible faces of global royalty, she remains unseen, yet her fingerprints are on every major policy that reshapes the modern kingdom. When Vision 2030 began, privatizing parts of Saudi Aramco, launching mega projects like NEOM, and expanding the public investment fund beyond $900 billion, Princess Fada's role was to maintain the cultural and tribal equilibrium that made these moves possible. She bridged the old and new, persuading conservative tribal leaders to trust her son's reforms while ensuring that tradition wasn't lost in modernization's shadow. Behind every royal decision lies her quiet orchestration, a balance between innovation and heritage. She convenes private councils of advisors, many drawn from her extended al-Hithlane lineage, ensuring tribal support across the kingdom's political landscape. Insiders describe her influence as stability disguised as motherhood. Through family ties, she created a network that protects the monarchy's continuity from within, insulating it from external criticism and internal division alike. What makes her role extraordinary is that it transcends gender and formality. In a world where influence often demands visibility, Princess Fada's greatest strength is her invisibility. Her sons hold the positions, but she holds the trust. And in Saudi Arabia, trust, not title, is the ultimate currency of power. The trillion-dollar power network. Behind the marble walls of Riyadh's royal palaces lies a financial machine so vast it blurs the line between wealth and governance. At its center stands Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane, not as a public figure but as the silent strategist connecting Saudi Arabia's royal bloodline to one of the largest concentrations of capital on earth. Her influence extends through her son, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who controls the Public Investment Fund, PIFF, a financial titan managing over $900 billion in assets and shaping global markets with a single decision. The PIF is not a typical sovereign fund. It's the financial backbone of the kingdom's Vision 2030, funneling oil profits into mega projects like NEOM, the $500 billion futuristic city rising in the desert, and global investments ranging from Lucid Motors to Blackstone and Nintendo. Princess Fada's advisory presence ensures that these moves serve not just the kingdom's modernization, but the family's intergenerational control. Her oversight is discreet, yet insiders say that her word can pause or accelerate billion-dollar transactions, a testament to her quiet command within the world's most powerful dynasty. But her reach doesn't stop at the PIF. Through her influence over Saudi Aramco, the state's oil giant valued at $1.8 trillion, Princess Fada indirectly shapes global energy prices. When Aramco adjusts output by even a fraction, financial ripples are felt across New York, London, and Shanghai. Her position is not administrative, it's strategic, ensuring that Aramco remains both a business empire and a geopolitical weapon, capable of balancing diplomacy with dominance. Together, the royal family's collective wealth, estimated at $1.4 trillion, forms an invisible network of power linking banks, governments, and corporations. Princess Fada's inner circle manages relationships with elite financiers from Geneva to Dubai, directing investments in luxury real estate, renewable energy, and defense technology. These assets, often registered under trusts and shell holdings, provide both financial agility and global influence without exposure. While others chase headlines, she builds the structures that move them. Her control is not defined by signatures or speeches, but by the unspoken understanding that no major financial move in the kingdom, or connected to it, proceeds without her implicit approval. In the quiet corridors of Saudi finance, Princess Fada doesn't follow money, she directs where it flows. Palaces, properties, and global presence. Few symbols of power are as visible or as calculated as the palaces of Princess Fada bin Falla al-Hithlane. Her architectural footprint stretches from the heart of Riyadh to the shores of the Mediterranean, where every property serves a purpose far beyond luxury. Her primary residence, the Al-Yamar Palace, valued at over $300 million, stands as both a fortress of privacy and a stage for diplomacy. Inside its 200,000 square foot expanse, crystal chandeliers imported from Italy hang above marble corridors lined with Saudi artworks and historical manuscripts, a silent exhibition of culture and control. Unlike Western mansions built for leisure, Saudi royal residences are strategic in design. The Al-Yamar Palace is equipped with a subterranean conference wing that hosts high-level political dialogues, while its upper floors serve as private quarters for visiting royals and dignitaries. Foreign envoys describe the palace as a kingdom within a kingdom, every meeting choreographed, every guest list curated with precision. Beyond Saudi Arabia, Princess Fada's real estate network extends across continents. In Marrakech, she owns an estate blending Moroccan craftsmanship with modern Saudi design, surrounded by private gardens maintained by a team of 50 staff. In Paris, her mansion in the 16th arrondissement, reportedly valued at $85 million, functions as a discreet meeting venue for European investors and philanthropic foundations. Along the French Riviera, her family's Cap Ferrat villa, covering more than 60,000 square feet, overlooks the Mediterranean, where annual private gatherings attract business magnates and international diplomats. Each property is not just an investment, but a message. These estates represent soft power, an elegant form of influence projected through hospitality, architecture, and controlled access. Unlike the skyscrapers of Dubai or the digital empires of Silicon Valley, Princess Fada's legacy is built in stone, symmetry, and silence. Her homes are not simply dwellings, they are diplomatic instruments, offering privacy, prestige, and negotiation space in equal measure. And while their interiors remain hidden from public view, what's known paints a picture of meticulous curation. Rare antiques from Andalusia, custom furniture by French ateliers, and Saudi calligraphy engraved in gold. For most, these palaces define unattainable wealth. For her, they are extensions of strategy, where walls do not just guard secrets, they negotiate the future of nations. Floating palaces and sky kingdoms. When most billionaires flaunt their yachts and private jets as symbols of luxury, Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane and her family have elevated transportation itself into a form of sovereign diplomacy. Their private fleet, a seamless network of sea and sky, operates less like personal indulgence and more like an extension of the royal state, where meetings, negotiations, and global strategy unfold far from the public eye. The centerpiece of their maritime empire is the superyacht Serene, a 439-foot masterpiece valued between $450 and $500 million. Originally built in Italy and later customized for the royal family, Serene is equipped with a submarine dock, 2 helipads, a fully functional medical facility, and an underwater observation lounge where guests can dine surrounded by the glow of marine life. Beneath the opulent chandeliers and marble corridors lies a fortified communication hub linked directly to Riyadh, allowing encrypted exchanges with global leaders. To the untrained eye, it's a floating palace, but to insiders, it's a mobile embassy capable of conducting private diplomacy anywhere on Earth's oceans. Alongside Serene sails the TUK, a smaller yet equally formidable vessel worth nearly $100 million, often used for shorter voyages along the Red Sea and Mediterranean coast. With an onboard cinema, gold-trimmed spa, and soundproof negotiation chambers, TUK is designed for discretion. Its guest list rarely exceeds a dozen people, and its manifest is guarded with the same secrecy as a classified document. Above the sea, the sky becomes their second dominion. The Royal Aviation Fleet includes custom Boeing 747, BJJs, and Airbus A340s, each transformed into airborne palaces. Their interiors feature gold-scented suites, private dining salons for 20 guests, and in-flight conference rooms wired with secure satellite networks. The cost of customization alone exceeds $250 million per aircraft, rivaling the world's most luxurious commercial jets. These planes can remain airborne for over 14 hours, capable of direct flights from Riyadh to Los Angeles or Tokyo without refueling, a critical advantage in diplomacy and security. Together, these vessels symbolize more than extravagance. They represent mobility as power, the ability to conduct governance beyond borders. Every journey, every takeoff and docking carries the quiet pulse of influence. While the world debates transparency, the House of Saud moves elegantly, invisibly, across skies and seas that belong to no nation. Philanthropy, legitimacy, and social architecture. While wealth and influence often attract scrutiny, Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane has built an image of power softened by philanthropy, a strategic blend of compassion and control. Her initiatives, while presented as charitable, are designed to align with Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, reinforcing both modernization and monarchy in a single gesture. Unlike the loud, logo-driven charity of Western billionaires, her work is defined by subtlety and national purpose. Through the Princess Fada Foundation, she directs millions each year toward women's education and healthcare, sectors chosen not merely for social impact, but for their political resonance. One of her flagship projects, the Riyadh Institute for Women in Technology, received an estimated $80 million in funding, providing scholarships for over 3,000 Saudi women while creating a pipeline of local talent for the kingdom's growing tech and renewable energy industries. This dual-purpose philanthropy, empowerment paired with economic strategy, mirrors the precision with which she approaches all royal endeavors. Healthcare remains another pillar of her social architecture. In Jeddah, her foundation financed the al-Hithlane Medical Center, a 250-bed facility focused on maternal and pediatric care, valued at over $120 million. Officially, it is a humanitarian project. Unofficially, it's a symbol of the Crown's enduring presence in citizens' everyday lives. Every clinic built, every patient treated, becomes a quiet extension of royal legitimacy. But perhaps the most visually stunning of her projects is in Diriyah, the historic birthplace of the Saudi state. There, Princess Fada personally oversees the restoration of pre-modern palaces and mosques, transforming them into cultural heritage sites that attract global tourism and cement Saudi Arabia's image as both ancient and forward-looking. The initiative, worth nearly $300 million, serves as cultural diplomacy, exploiting heritage as soft power, ensuring that Saudi identity is not only preserved but profitable. Her philanthropy, then, is neither accidental nor entirely altruistic. Each act of giving is calculated to strengthen internal stability and enhance international prestige. By funding schools, hospitals, and restoration projects, Princess Fada isn't simply giving back. She's building continuity, shaping a national narrative in which benevolence and authority are indistinguishable. In Saudi Arabia's evolving story, her influence ensures that generosity itself becomes a form of governance, one carefully crafted, quietly strategic, and endlessly enduring. Influence without a spotlight. While the world knows her name, few have actually seen her. Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane, wife of King Salman and mother of Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, has mastered the art of influence without exposure. In an age of cameras and social media, she remains almost entirely invisible, with fewer than a dozen verified photographs in existence. Her anonymity isn't an accident. It's a shield. Every absence is deliberate, every silence calculated to magnify her authority. Inside the royal court, Princess Fada's influence doesn't rely on public appearances, but on precision and persuasion. She sits at the center of Saudi Arabia's most critical decisions, from cabinet appointments to the fine balance of succession planning, yet her name rarely appears in headlines. Diplomats refer to her not as a public figure, but as a force behind the curtain, one whose counsel carries more weight than a speech ever could. Her discretion allows her to operate where visibility would be a liability. When international partnerships are negotiated, whether with European energy conglomerates or American defense investors, insiders claim she plays a pivotal role, mediating through trusted emissaries rather than public delegations. Her approach mirrors the old Bedouin principle that true power is quiet, visible only in its effects, never its display. Even her influence on domestic reforms is subtle but undeniable. Educational initiatives promoting women's advancement, cultural restoration projects, and even humanitarian diplomacy all trace back to her strategic guidance. Yet no photograph, no televised moment credits her by name. This invisibility turns influence into myth. A modern-day queen whose power is measured not by presence, but by consequence. In the kingdom's hierarchy, her silence speaks louder than 1,000 decrees. She remains unseen, but everywhere felt, an invisible architect shaping the rhythm of power, ensuring that perception itself bends to her will. The legacy of the hidden monarch. In a kingdom where visibility often equates to power, Princess Fada bint Falla al-Hithlane has rewritten the definition of influence itself. She doesn't command attention through public appearances or lavish displays, but through legacy engineering, the quiet construction of a dynasty designed to endure for centuries. Her role in ensuring a seamless transition from King Salman to Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, MBS, is not merely maternal, it's institutional. Every pillar of Saudi Arabia's modern state bears her unseen signature, from education and economy to diplomacy and dynastic order. Her greatest contribution lies in transforming unimaginable wealth into dynastic infrastructure. Palaces that function as administrative hubs, trusts that sustain multi-generational investment portfolios, and foundations that embed her family's influence deep within the nation's social fabric. Insiders estimate that assets under her direct influence, including endowments and holdings through the Public Investment Fund, exceed $150 billion in value. Yet, she's never publicly claimed ownership of any of it. This deliberate ambiguity ensures continuity without scrutiny, allowing her to operate with the precision of a strategist rather than the spectacle of a monarch. Beyond the borders of Saudi Arabia, her influence echoes across global markets. Each adjustment in oil output, each strategic investment in renewable energy or Western tech firms carries her ideological imprint. A vision of stability disguised as modernization. She understands that true power doesn't lie in oil fields or skyscrapers, but in the ability to shape narratives that outlast generations. Even within the palace, her philosophy is evident. Restraint over excess, continuity over chaos. The House of Saud's ability to remain both ancient and modern, guardians of tradition yet architects of progress, is largely credited to her guiding hand. While others pursue global headlines, Princess Fada prefers permanence, her legacy written not in gold, but in governance. Her name may never dominate the news cycle, but its echo travels farther than any royal decree. Every oil price shift, every international handshake, every billion-dollar investment traces back to the architecture she built in silence. And that's the paradox of her reign. A monarch hidden in plain sight, shaping the destiny of nations from behind the world's most opulent veil. If you were her, would you choose fame or the kind of power that outlives it? What you've just seen is only the surface of Saudi Arabia's richest dynasty. A glimpse into a world where luxury and diplomacy blend seamlessly. From floating palaces on the sea to silent influence in global markets, power here moves without headlines. But the story doesn't end behind palace walls. In part 2, we'll uncover how this empire's reach extends into art, technology, and even global politics. So if you want to see how far true influence travels, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. The next chapter of this trillion-dollar legacy is just beginning.